Hey, what's up guys? It's Max Maxwell and welcome to another video. If you haven't heard by now, some people on social media are going crazy. Propstream sent out an email and said, hey guys, we will no longer be able to give you sold MLS records. Now, for some of us, this means nothing, and for a little amount of us, this means something, and I'm going to explain that to you. Today, we're going to talk about disclosure states and non-disclosure states and what those are. So before we move on with the video to explain what all of this means, let's talk about what a non-disclosure state. In America, there are 12 non-disclosure states. I'm going to read them to you. Alaska, Idaho, Kansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, some of Missouri, Montana, New Mexico, which is a strict non-disclosure state, North Dakota, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming, right? So that means in these states, they're not allowed to publicly publish or give information on houses that have sold. Now you may think, why is that? Who knows? But I know that it does frankly hurt the appraisals of properties. And I was reading a report that says mainly properties that are lower in value end up paying more taxes because this information is not out there. So in your disclosure states, they disclose the sales price. I live in North Carolina. It is a disclosure state. So soon as you sell a house and it's recorded, that information is public. So if you're in a non-disclosure state, this video is for you. If you're in disclosure state, you can turn off this video right now.
So beautiful. Now that's a home I'd make an offer on.
With REI Drive, you don't need to be so sketchy when wholesaling houses.
REI Drive's simple interface allows you to easily mark properties you're interested in and get all the information you need to make an offer. It even has voice activation features so you can keep your eyes on the road.
Hello! I'd like to make an offer that you're probably gonna refuse.
Don't be like this guy. Click the link for a free 14-day trial with REI Drive today and simplify your wholesaling experience.
Now, some influencers on Instagram and all over the place have been saying, oh my God, Propstream is going problem. Now let's talk about this and let's talk about using this fear tactic for marketing. It's not real. And you guys know I do own 2 data companies. I'm quite a data nerd. So I dive deep into the data. The reality is most of these companies get the data from the same place. They have to register a website that they're allowed to publish the data. And frankly, most of them don't publish the data in the right place that they say they're going to do, so they're in violation of the terms. Matter of fact, our company was going to look into getting this data and publishing, but we can't use it in these third-party apps that we would offer you guys, so it makes no sense. So we use other sources in order to give you this data. But let's get to the nuts and bolts. Right now, Propstream says in non-disclosure states, they're no longer going to be able to give you the sold data, which is useful information when you are running comps. And there's other companies like Batch that says they still have access, or not Batch themselves, but some people online said that they have access to this MLS data. So I have access to both platforms. I've been using Propstream for a long time, and I dibble and dabble into Batch to see if the records kind of match. And so let's head over to my computer, and we picked in a non-disclosure state, Texas, which I know a lot of you guys are. We picked a property to comp. We comped a property called 3411 Laddermere Street. It's a 4-bedroom, 1-bath. And when you pull this up on Batch, it gives you all the comps here to the bottom. Now, if you look at the comps, it's going to give you price per square foot, lot size, year built, does it have a pool, and the price. Now, when you're running comps, this price in this column is typically sold. At least that's what you think it is. At least that's what they say it is. Now, Propstream had access to this data, and they no longer have access to these sold comps in these 12 states. I don't know why, but the MLS literally said, you can't use this data anymore the way that you're using it. Okay, fine. So they pivot. So if we look at this property here, and I clicked on one of the comps, which is Southland, is 2538 Southland in Dallas, Texas. Let's look here. The sale date is 3/9/2021. Sold price for $179 at 157 a square foot. Talks about the list price. Now let's be clear. So it's not all the MLS data you cannot display in a non-disclosure state. It specifically says you cannot talk about the sold price. That is the main thing. You cannot publicly display the sold price in a non-disclosure state, period, unless the owner themselves wants to disclose this information, or you're working with a realtor and they give you this information in order to make a better decision when you are buying your own property. So let's go into this. So I've pulled up the Southland here and let's look at it. It says that it sold for $179. Now Batch says that this is MLS data for $179, and you can see that over here. If you look at 2538 Southland, you go across, it says 179 100, right? So now I'm going to switch over to this same property on Propstream. It has the pictures, right? And it's saying that the last prior sale price is 179. But the big difference between what they're saying and what Batch is saying, Propstream and Batch, I'm just giving you an exact replica of the same property. It's saying 179 100. They have the same exact numbers. Now Propstream just said they no longer can give you the sold data, so this is what they call an estimate. So 179.1 is an estimate. Let's talk about how most of these companies actually get this information to not really a science, but down to a guesstimate or estimate in these properties, in these non-disclosure states. They take what they call the mortgage amount. They take the mortgage amount, and if it's a FHA loan, so they find out how much the mortgage is, then they find out what type of mortgage it is. And if it's a FHA, they're going to take away 2.5, 3.5, whatever it is. And they're going to say that's the amount of that the property sold for. Sometimes this can be off between $10,000, $20,000, just depending on the price of the house. So if two companies, one is saying that they don't have MLS data, which is they don't have the MLS sold comps, which is Propstream, and they come up with 179.1. And then we also go over to the Batch comp and it's saying the same exact thing. So what I did was I pulled a random property in Texas, looked at the comps, and I looked at 8 of them. And I'm going to show you guys 3 of them. Let's go to 2623 Lenway here, which it says is a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and it's sold for $112.5. All right. So we're going to go over to the Propstream that says they do not have any sold data, and it's the same thing. Mortgage amount, last prior sales price. It tells you everything what's about it. So the difference is it's an estimate. It's an estimated sold price because it is completely illegal to show the sold data in disclosure states. Now, Propstream has been around since I think the late 90s, early 2000s, and developed large relationships and probably has gathered more data than any probably real estate aggregator that is open for investors. But the information is right here. It is clearly an estimate. And if we go over here to Batch, it is 12.5. I don't see that it says estimate, but if you know it's an estimate. Like I said, most of these companies all get to publish this data from one place, but most of them are publishing it on third-party apps that they're not allowed to publish on it. Anyways, so the reality is, if you live in a non-disclosure state, hear me out, you're gonna have to do some digging. It is what it is. You've always had to do some digging. If you use Propstream, you had the advantage where you can get the MLS sold data in the last while, but now you can't get it. Their suppliers has said, listen, you no longer have access to the sold data, which is fine. And everybody else, every other software uses this method to take the mortgage amount, figure out what type of loan it was, estimate the amount of deposit or the amount of down payment that they gave, and then give the actual what they think is an estimate. So Propstream says it's an estimate. Batch says doesn't say it's an estimate. They both come up with the same number. Basically, what I want to do is I pride myself in not using fair tactics for marketing because it's just not the way you should do it. And so the reality is, in a non-disclosure state, neither one of these companies have access to the MLS sold data. They just can't. So don't think you're going to leave something to get something that's across the fence, which is different. It's not. If you use Propstream, you know they got a lot of rich data. Batch has some good information as well. It's just simply not true. They both do not have access to sold data. So one is not shinier than the other on the other side. And you really just got to talk about the integrity and this estimate right here. Saying the word estimate is a big difference, letting you know. So when you see this, just know that when you're running comps, it's not for certain. Use it with a grain of salt. And that's my main point here. In a non-disclosure state, when you're getting these prices of sold, know that it's not exact. So use some of your magic, use some of your connections, connect with realtors locally, find out what this property is sold for, then that's going to give you a better idea. Other than that, you can really just use your common sense and know, what things sold for. So I hope this video makes sense. It's a lot of noise going on about one thing is better than the other. Who has MLS data? To a certain degree, they all have access to the MLS data in disclosure and non-disclosure states. And if you're still listening and you live in a disclosure state, don't worry. What this simply means that if you're using Propstream before, that the data that you were going to get that was 1 or 2 days old may be 1 to 2 weeks old when it comes to the sold data, because simply some counties just take forever to record the data so it can be scraped. These are just tools that we use in our business. They're not exact. Remember that. Take everything with a grain of salt. Do your due diligence, and as you do this more, you're going to get better and better and better at it. All right, everyone, keep in mind that comping properties is art and not science. All of these tools are just there to help you make a better decision, an educated decision on what a property might be worth when it's fixed up. Don't take these things for gospel. They can't tell you exactly what they're supposed to be. Use these tools as they're made. Remember, like this video if you do, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.